Imagine a nation built on promises of democracy and security, now teetering on the edge of self-inflicted ruin. Leaders who once stood united are turning against each other, exposing cracks that could shatter the very foundation. What if the greatest threat to this state comes not from outside, but from within its own corridors of power? Breaking news from inside Israel. Avigdor Lieberman, a veteran politician and former defense minister, has dropped a bombshell that could signal the beginning of the end for the Zionist project. In a recent radio interview, Lieberman declared, "If Netanyahu forms the next government, for me, this is the end of the State of Israel as a Zionist, liberal, Jewish, and democratic state." This isn't just political banter. It's a dire warning from someone who knows the system intimately. Lieberman, head of the Yisrael Beitenu party, has long been a hawk on security issues, but his growing disdain for Benjamin Netanyahu's leadership highlights the rot at the core. Netanyahu's grip on power relies heavily on shaky alliances with ultra-Orthodox groups who demand exemptions from military service, massive budget handouts, and control over religious policies. These concessions, Lieberman argues, are eroding Israel's secular fabric, turning it into a theocracy that prioritizes religious dogma over national unity. For years, Netanyahu has maneuvered to stay in office amid corruption charges, but now even former allies like Lieberman see his rule as an existential threat. This isn't about minor policy tweaks. It's about the survival of the state as it claims to be. Lieberman's words echo a broader sentiment. Zionism, with its inherent contradictions, is unsustainable when leaders like Netanyahu exploit divisions for personal gain. Think about it. Ultra-Orthodox parties hold disproportionate sway, refusing to share the burden of defense while benefiting from state resources. This setup alienates secular Israelis and fuels resentment, weakening the military and economy. Lieberman points out how Netanyahu's coalitions grant these groups veto power over critical reforms, like ending draft exemptions for religious students. As a result, Israel's identity as a modern, democratic entity is fading, replaced by a system that mirrors the very authoritarianism it claims to oppose. And let's not forget the occupation. Netanyahu's policies prolong endless conflict, draining resources and isolating Israel internationally, all while his internal deals accelerate the decline. Opposition voices are amplifying this alarm. Yair Lapid, another key figure, recently stated that a Netanyahu win in upcoming elections would mean the end of Zionism. Lapid, from the centrist Yesh Atid party, shares Lieberman's view that Netanyahu's corruption and reliance on extremists are dismantling the state's core values. Even Naftali Bennett, a former prime minister, is in talks with Lieberman to form an alternative bloc, excluding Netanyahu. These meetings underscore a fracturing elite, where once loyal nationalists now prioritize ousting him to salvage what's left. For those watching from afar, this internal chaos reveals Zionism's fragility, an ideology built on exclusion and expansion, now crumbling under its own weight. This revelation comes at a pivotal moment. With talks of early elections swirling amid government instability, Lieberman's statement could tip the scales. He's not alone in his efforts. His party has blocked Netanyahu's budgets before, forcing snap votes. If these opposition forces unite, it might expose the regime's vulnerabilities further, hastening what many see as inevitable decline. Critics argue Netanyahu's leadership has already damaged Israel's global standing, with boycotts and diplomatic isolation growing due to his hardline stance on settlements and Gaza. For Palestinians and global justice advocates, this is a glimmer of hope amid oppression. Israel's self-doubt from within validates long-held critiques of its foundational flaws. Lieberman's warning isn't just about internal politics. It's an admission that the current path leads to implosion. As Netanyahu clings to power, His actions only deepen the divisions, making the state less viable by the day. Viewers, this is your cue. Share this video far and wide. Spread the word about how Netanyahu's rule is unraveling Israel from the inside. Subscribe for more updates on this unfolding crisis. And hit that like button if you believe accountability is overdue. Together, we can amplify these truths and push for real change. Stay informed, stay engaged, because the tide is turning.